I'm Michelle, sitting here in Blackstone's headquarters, presenting the successful first phase results of our implementation. I can't help but let my mind wander back to how it all began. The projected savings have exceeded our estimates by 7%, and Sarah, the Blackstone Chief Technology Officer, is clearly impressed. Your team has delivered exactly what you promised, she says. 6 months ago, I was a very different person. I had joined Horizon Tech Solutions as a senior technical analyst 2 years ago. I came from a family of tech enthusiasts. My father was a software engineer who instilled in me a love for problem solving, and my mother, a data scientist, taught me the importance of precision and detail. They were always encouraging me to pursue my dreams, but they also warned me about the cutthroat nature of the corporate world. Horizon Tech was a mid-sized firm, and we had been chasing the $8,200,000 Blackstone account for years. It was the client that could put our company on the map nationally, and it would determine bonuses, promotions, and maybe even some firings. I had a decade of specialized experience in data infrastructure optimization. It was a field that most people found boring, but I knew its true value. When I joined the company, I dived right into the research. After months of poring over Blackstone's operational data, I identified a fundamental flaw in their current system. A subtle, complex inefficiency that was costing them approximately $3,400,000 annually. My immediate supervisor, Lily, was the only female director in our division. She had hired me, and I trusted her. When I first showed her my findings, she said, "This is good, Michelle. Really good. Let's develop this further before taking it up." For 5 long months, I lived and breathed the Blackstone proposal. I skipped my brother's graduation because I was so focused on this project. I worked through a bad case of the flu with a trash can by my desk. I developed the entire analysis, built the implementation strategy, created financial projections, and designed a phase transition plan that minimized disruption while maximizing savings. Then, we got word that Blackstone's entire executive team, including their notoriously hard to impress Chief Technology Officer, wanted an in-person presentation. The office was abuzz. This was our chance. In our department meeting, Henry, the Vice President of Client Services, announced, "Lily and I will finalize the presentation strategy. We need our A game here." I sat there, waiting for my role to be defined. I was the one who had done all the work. It was obvious I should present the technical sections. But the meeting ended without my name being mentioned. Later that afternoon, Lily stopped by my desk. Her face said it all. "Henry thinks we should keep the presentation team senior level only. It's an image thing," she said quietly. "But it's my analysis," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "How will they address technical questions?" Lily looked uncomfortable. "I'll be there to handle those. You've walked me through everything, and I've got your slides. Henry feels strongly about this." I asked, "And you? How do you feel?" She didn't answer directly. She just squeezed my shoulder and said, "Your time will come, Michelle. This is how the game works." On the morning of the presentation, I arrived early. Lily had asked me to be on standby in case they needed me. I knew it was just a formality. I watched from my desk as Blackstone's executives arrived. Men in sharp suits and women in elegant dresses, all exuding confidence. Henry greeted them in the lobby with his practiced charm, and Lily stood slightly behind, smiling professionally. They went into our largest conference room with glass walls. My presentation, all 64 slides of my hard work, was printed in leather portfolios with a Horizon Tech logo, but not my name. As I watched Henry gesturing at my slides and Lily pointing at my technical diagrams, I felt a strange sense of calm. 3 days ago, after being told I wouldn't be in the room, I made a calculated decision. I removed the most critical technical specification from the implementation section, the proprietary algorithm that made the whole solution work. Without it, the proposal was impressive, but ultimately unworkable. Only I knew how to implement it, and it wasn't documented anywhere else. I told myself it was for security reasons, but deep down, I knew it was my way of making sure I wouldn't be completely ignored. 40 minutes into the presentation, I saw it happen. The Blackstone Chief Technology Officer, Sarah, started asking a question. Her face showed confusion, then concern. Henry's confident smile faded, and Lily was flipping through papers frantically. Then, everyone in the conference room turned to look at me through the glass walls. My phone lit up with a text from Lily. Conference room now. My heart was pounding as I walked towards the conference room. Workers stared at me curiously. I straightened my blazer, took a deep breath, and opened the door. "Ah, here she is," Henry said with a fake smile. "Michelle is one of our analysts who helped compile some of the data." Sarah looked directly at me. "MS. Last name, your colleagues seem unable to explain the specific algorithm that would prevent data corruption during the transition phase. The concept is outlined here, but the actual mechanism is unclear. Without it, this entire proposal is theoretically interesting, but practically worthless to us." The room went silent. Henry's face turned red, and Lily looked at me with a mix of plea and panic. This was the moment I had been waiting for, without even fully admitting it to myself. I could play along or expose the truth. I sat down directly across from Sarah. "The algorithm isn't included in the slides because it's too complex to be presented in slide format. It's a 9-step process combining specialized data verification protocols with a tiered encryption method I developed specifically for Blackstone's infrastructure," I said calmly. Sarah's eyebrows raised. "You developed it?" "Yes," I said, looking her in the eye. "I developed the entire solution you've been reviewing today." There was a moment of silence. Henry was about to say something, but Sarah held up her hand. "Perhaps you should walk us through this algorithm, Miss Last Name." For the next 20 minutes, I explained the technical core of my solution. I drew diagrams on the whiteboard and answered Sarah's and her technical director's increasingly specific questions. With each answer, I could see the recognition in their eyes. Henry and Lily sat in silence, unable to contribute. When I finished, Sarah leaned back. "Well, that clarifies things considerably. Mr. Henry's last name. I'm curious why Miss Last Name wasn't part of this presentation from the beginning, given that she's clearly the architect of the solution." Henry forced a smile. "We value all our team members, but we typically have senior leadership handle client-facing opportunities of this magnitude. Experience has shown." "In my experience," Sarah interrupted, "the people who do the actual work tend to give the most valuable presentations." She turned to me. "Miss Last Name, if we move forward with Horizon Tech, would you be the implementation lead?" Before Henry could answer, I said that would be my expectation. I could hear Henry grinding his teeth. Sarah nodded. "Good, because I'm not interested in working with figureheads. I need to work with whoever actually understands our systems." After the meeting, as the Blackstone team left, Sarah handed me her card. "Call me directly with any additional thoughts. I have a few more technical questions when you have time." The conference room door closed, and I was left alone with Henry and Lily. Henry hissed, "You deliberately withheld information from the presentation materials." I met his gaze calmly. I focused on what needed to be in the slides versus what required direct explanation. It was a judgment call. "A judgment call? You made me look like an idiot in there," he said, raising his voice. "I did my job. I solved Blackstone's problem. Isn't that what we're paid to do?" I replied. Lily finally spoke up. "Michelle, you should have told us about the algorithm beforehand. We could have prepared." "Prepared? How exactly?" I asked. "By having me write out the explanation so one of you could present it? Or would you have finally let me in the room if you'd known you couldn't do it without me?" Neither of them answered. We all knew the truth. As I tried to leave, Henry blocked my path. "This isn't over, Michelle. Not by a long shot." I looked him in the eye. "You're right about that." As I walked back to my desk, I felt a sense of surrealism. My computer pinged with a calendar invite for an emergency meeting with Human Resources and our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Thompson, scheduled for 4:30 p.m. The subject line read, "Conduct Review." I knew Henry had mobilized against me, but I wasn't the same person who had walked into that conference room. I spent the next 3 hours documenting everything. Every email, every meeting note, every draft that showed my role as the primary architect of the Blackstone proposal. I printed copies and saved digital backups to my personal email. At 4:28 p.m. I walked into Mr. Thompson's office. He had built Horizon Tech from the ground up 20 years ago and was known for being tough but fair. Henry, Lily, and the HR representative, Grace, were already there. "Take a seat, Michelle," Mr. Thompson said, his face unreadable. "We need to discuss what happened today with Blackstone." I sat down and placed my folder of documentation on the table. Henry jumped in immediately. "Mr. Thompson, she deliberately sabotaged the presentation. She withheld critical information to make the rest of us look incompetent." Mr. Thompson looked at me. "Is that true, Michelle?" I took a deep breath. "What's true is that I developed the entire Blackstone proposal over 5 months. 3 days ago, I was told I wasn't senior enough to present my own work. The algorithm is too complex to be explained in slide format. It needed direct explanation from the person who developed it." Henry started to interrupt, but Mr. Thompson held up his hand. "Let her finish." I opened my folder. "I have here every piece of evidence that shows my role as the main architect of the Blackstone proposal. Also, neither Henry nor Lily contributed significantly to the technical solution or strategic approach. They were presenting work they couldn't explain because they didn't create it." Grace looked uncomfortable. Lily stared at her hands, and Henry's face turned an angry red. "Are you threatening us?" Henry demanded.
"I'm establishing facts," he replied calmly.
"I found Blackstone's inefficiency, developed the solution, created the implementation plan, and saved the presentation when the questions got too technical for you two to answer." Mr. Thompson leaned back and studied me. "Why didn't you include the algorithm in the slides, Michelle?" I said quietly, "Because I knew if I did, you would never know what happened in that room. After months of being overlooked and underestimated, I needed leverage. I needed proof that my contribution mattered. Was it calculated? Yes. Was it wrong? I don't think so. No one was harmed, and I'm confident we'll get the contract." Mr. Thompson's eyes narrowed. "That's quite an admission." "It's the truth." "I'm not interested in playing games anymore," I said. Henry saw his chance. "See, she admits she manipulated the situation. This is grounds for immediate termination, Mr. Thompson. We can't have employees who deliberately undermine leadership." Mr. Thompson held up his hand again and looked at Grace. "Has Sarah from Blackstone reached out since the meeting?" Grace nodded. "Yes, she sent an email about an hour ago. She was very impressed with the proposal, especially with MS. Last name, S, technical expertise. She specifically requested that Michelle be the primary contact for all implementation discussions going forward." Henry's mouth opened and then closed. Mr. Thompson turned to me. "So, Blackstone wants you specifically, and you believe you can deliver what you promised them?" "Absolutely," I said. Mr. Thompson nodded slowly and then said to Henry and Lily, "Leave us, please. I need to speak with Michelle alone." The look on Henry's face was priceless. He stood up, straightened his jacket, and said, "Mr. Thompson, I strongly advise." "Thank you, Henry. We'll discuss this further tomorrow." Mr. Thompson cut him off. After they left, Mr. Thompson studied me for a long time. "That was a dangerous game you played today." "It wasn't a game to me. It was my career," I replied. He nodded slightly. "Fair enough, but you understand that intentionally withholding information, regardless of the outcome, raises concerns." I countered, "I understand that taking credit for others' work also raises concerns, as does systematic exclusion of qualified team members based on arbitrary hierarchies rather than actual expertise." A faint smile crossed his face. "You're not backing down, are you?" "No," I said simply. He leaned forward. "Here's what's going to happen, Michelle. You're going to lead the Blackstone implementation because we don't have a choice. Sarah made that clear. You'll report directly to me on this project, not through Henry. If you deliver what you promised and bring in that $8,200,000 contract and execute it successfully, then we'll revisit your position in the company." I nodded. "And if I don't deliver, then this conversation becomes very different." "Understood," he said. As I stood to leave, he added, "One more thing, Michelle. The technical details you developed, the algorithm. Is it documented anywhere now? I smiled slightly. It will be by tomorrow morning. Good, he said. Because while I admire your strategic thinking, I don't appreciate being vulnerable to individual leverage. Don't make that play again. No need. Once is enough if people are paying attention, I replied. The next 2 weeks were a mix of victory and isolation. Word spread through the office, but the details varied. Henry avoided me completely. Lily tried to apologize over coffee, but it felt more like damage control. I just want you to know I fought for you to be in that meeting, she said, not meeting my eyes. But not hard enough, I replied. She flinched. It's complicated, Michelle. You know how it is. I'm starting to understand exactly how it is, I said, getting up to leave. The only person who treated me normally was Tom from the development team. He stopped by my desk the day after the confrontation and said, "About time someone called their bluff. Need any help with the Blackstone specs?" Tom became my ally as I prepared for the follow-up meeting with Blackstone. We worked late, refining the technical specifications and building out implementation timelines. I documented everything meticulously, just as I promised Mr.
Thompson.
1 week after the initial presentation, Sarah requested a video call with me. MS. Last name? I've reviewed your additional documentation. It's impressive work, she said. Thank you. And please call me Michelle, I replied. She nodded. Michelle, then I'll be direct. Blackstone is prepared to move forward with Horizon Tech on this project, but we have some conditions. First, we want you contractually designated as the project lead, not just internally, but in our formal agreement. Second, we want quarterly technical reviews directly with you throughout the implementation. And third, we want the right to take you with us if we're not satisfied with Horizon Tech's support structure around your solution. My heart skipped a beat. Take me with you? To be blunt, we're impressed with your capabilities, but less impressed with how your company managed them. The solution you've developed is valuable to us. If Horizon Tech can't properly support your implementation, we'd want the option to hire you directly as a consultant to ensure continuity. I was stunned. This wasn't just leverage, it was a safety net. That's unusual, I managed to say. Sarah smiled slightly. So, is finding someone who genuinely understands our infrastructure challenges? I recognize talent, Michelle, and I protect my company's interests. After the call, I sat at my desk, thinking. Then I drafted an email to Mr. Thompson outlining Blackstone's conditions. His reply came within 30 minutes. My office at 3 p.m. When I arrived, Mr. Thompson wasn't alone. The company's legal counsel, Laura, was there. These terms are highly irregular, Laura said after introductions. The clause allowing them to potentially hire you away from us creates significant risk. For whom? I asked. Mr. Thompson's eyebrows raised. For Horizon Tech, obviously, Laura replied. Because I might leave, or because other clients might make similar requests once they realize where the value actually comes from? I asked. Mr. Thompson leaned forward. What exactly are you saying, Michelle? I said, Blackstone has recognized something that Horizon Tech hasn't. They see that technical expertise deserves direct client access and proper credit. They're willing to put that in a contract because they value what I bring to the table. The question is, does Horizon Tech? Mr. Thompson and Laura exchanged glances. We value all our employees, Mr. Thompson began. Then prove it. I interrupted, surprising myself with my boldness. Accept Blackstone's terms, and let's discuss what my role at Horizon Tech should really look like going forward. The next 2 hours were the most intense negotiation of my life. By the end, we reached an agreement. I would remain the designated Blackstone project lead, be promoted to technical director, reporting directly to Mr.
Thompson.
And I would receive a percentage of the Blackstone contract value as a performance bonus. This sets a dangerous precedent, Laura warned as we finalized the terms. It sets the right precedent, Mr. Thompson countered, surprising me. We recognize and reward the people who create value. He looked at me with newfound respect. Just make sure you deliver, Michelle. I will, I promised. When I left Mr. Thompson's office, I felt lightheaded. In just 2 weeks, I'd gone from being sidelined to securing a promotion, a raise, and a direct line to the CEO. The following Monday, Mr. Thompson called an all-hands meeting to announce the $8,200,000 Blackstone contract, officially signed. He also announced my promotion to technical director and